Welcome to 843 TV. I'm your host, Lisa Richardson, and today we are here at the Holy Trinity Classical Christian School in downtown Beaufort. We're going to be learning all about a special new program. Joining us first are three guests, Mr. Jonathan Council. He is the chairman of the Humanities here at the school. Up next, we have several students, Patrick Strong, Elizabeth Mayo. Joining us also is Sydney Lawrence, Ruben Pena, Bruce Brasher, and Amelia McNeil. So stick around and join us for this episode of 843 TV, where communities come to speak.
(843 TV), where Bluffton comes to speak.
Where Spring Island comes to speak.
Where Hilton Head Island comes to speak.
Where Beaufort comes to speak.
(843 TV),
where communities come to speak. Welcome to 843 TV. We are here at the Holy Trinity Classical Christian School in Beaufort in this cute and lovely library room. And today we're going to be hearing all about new program and a lot more. First up, we have Mr. Council. We have two students, Patrick and Elizabeth, and we're going to be talking today. First of all, Mr. Council, you're fairly new to the school. Share a little bit about how long you've been here and your background.
So my family has been here since July, so very, very recent. This is our first year here. Before that, we were in Houston, where I served as Dean of Classical Education at the Connection School of Houston in Cypress, Texas. And then before that, I was in North Carolina, where I taught for 4 years there. So that's kind of my background, is in about 7 years in classical education in various different subject areas, but happy to be here.
Now, I understand this year you have a new program that you brought into the school, and it's called the Humane Letters. Why don't we talk about that and what's involved?
Sure. So the Humane Letters is a traditionally a course that integrates grammar, logic, rhetoric, composition, social sciences, history, and English, all at once and under one instructor. So that's traditionally what it is. It's an integrated humanities course.
Elaborate a little bit more on that for those who might not even understand what humanities course is for those watching.
Okay, so the humanities are those studies that developed in the high medieval time period that were dedicated to the things that make us human. And so primarily the things that you'd find in a humanities program are your literatures, your histories, what we call social sciences now, like anthropology, sociology, etc., economics, anything that has to do with human interactions and the changes in human society. So natural sciences would be things that study the change in the natural world. Humane sciences, or humane letters, studies the changes in human society and what governs those things and about human decision making.
Sounds like it could be very involved for sure.
Sure.
Yeah. And what is the goal of this course?
So the goal of the course is to help guide students to integrate their reading, their knowledge, and their experience in order to kind of synthesize them, learn how to make decisions, and to become free people that can be good citizens of the state. Help it to decide what it's to be, not just react to what it wants, let's say.
Well, let's hear from the students then.
Okay.
So Patrick, first of all, how long have you been here at the school?
5 years.
That's quite a while. So did you say 10th grade now?
Yes, ma'am.
10th grade, so you've been here since elementary school, in a sense, and through middle school, and now you're at high school. Share a little bit about what this course has meant to you or how you're navigating through it.
Well, through past years, we have just a normal literature, history class, and it's very fragmented. You go from one classroom to another one. And especially with Mr. Council's class, since it's one big class combining literature, history, and reading and all that, it's very, I don't know, easy. I don't know.
Are you mentioned it's fragmented. Are you staying in one course the whole time, so you're not going from room to room or subject to subject? Is that how it?
Correct.
You would explain it?
Yeah. Well, he's actually getting into something actually really important, and the word "easy" is kind of, I mean, it's hard to come up with good synonyms for that. But one of the goals is to reduce the frenzy of activity that students traditionally have. Sometimes you have up to 8 courses in a day. And you're just going from teacher to teacher,
Yeah.
different standards of behavior, different grading rubrics. And so in a certain sense, at least, we've taken 3 of those courses, let's say history, logic and composition, and literature, and we've created them into one class. And so they have me multiple times in the day. It doesn't have to be that way, but that's the way it currently is. So they see me 3 times a day.
So they get a lot of good time with you where they
Yeah.
can develop that relationship, whereas you mentioned in a traditional classroom
Sure.
setting, you're going from this period to that period,
Yeah.
and teacher to teacher, different styles, different personalities. So that way
Yeah.
there's a lot more flow, you get more time
Yeah.
to interact with the students. What are your classroom sizes, by the way, average?
At this school, I believe that our average class size would be probably about 12. I think that's the hope, is to keep that around that. Our classroom size, it's a large class, we have about 19 kids in there right now, in the 10th grade.
Which is actually small in comparison to your public school
Sure,
setting and
sure.
so forth. Very
Yeah, and the goal is to get, also with having one course, the goal is to have more writing time and more individuated kind of instruction. It's hard, even with 19 students, to get that amount of time, but at least with the multiple periods in the day, it's more likely.
Right.
So.
Elizabeth, let's talk with you a little bit. First of all, how long have you been coming here?
This is my 3rd year.
So 3rd year and 10th grade?
Yes, ma'am.
10th grade. So you've had middle school, high school experience. So to share with us a little bit about the course that you're taking, Humane Letters.
Well, with Mr. Council, it is very an integrated studies in English, literature, and history. And instead of going from class to class and learning random facts of history here and reading this work and kind of piecing it together for ourselves, Mr. Council is using art and music and inaugural addresses of the presidents to create this big picture overall of the time period in which we are learning about.
So in comparing that to other subjects, what other classes do you have? How would you compare the courses?
We have science and math and Latin. Those are the 3 main other courses. The difference between them is in classes like science and math, like you learn straight from the book, and it's a very structured, just kind of like you read through the book and you work through it as a class. And with this, there is a structure, but it's definitely different. It's easier and more class work and individual work than any other class.
Okay, well, we are going to share more about things happening here at Holy Trinity. So you all stay right here. We'll be back with more 843 TV. Welcome back to 843 TV. We're here in the library of the Holy Trinity Classical Christian School here in downtown Beaufort, and we're learning all about a new program that is being taught by Mr. Council and talking with different students about how it's impacting them. So, Mr. Council, welcome back. You're joining us for the entire show today, and let's continue talking about the program, the Humane Letters. What's your favorite part about teaching them?
My favorite part about teaching a Humane Letters course is that I get to direct students in making connections between what is often taught as disparate subject areas. And I think that's a very scholarly way to be. And so for me, I've taught many different courses at different schools, but a Humane Letters course allows the teacher to be a scholar, to kind of help them and guide them in the excitement of making connections. That's what a scholar loves to do, is to make connections between disparate things, to kind of integrate them. I also like the fact that it is less frenzied. I used that phrase in the previous section. I like that it's less frenzied. I like that we can have more classroom time to do work together, more coaching, opportunities for coaching and tutorial, shall we say. I also really, really appreciate the kind of normative questions. By that I mean questions about being in the world that can be elicited from the kinds of readings that we have. And having good curricula and good classic texts will incite those questions. But I hope as the students are getting to know me and the fact that we have so many classes together, what makes those questions valuable, like questions of what is justice, or what is betrayal, or how does one love one's neighbor, those questions, while they will come from good curricula, and though they will come from great texts, only become valuable if there's a relationship between the student and the teacher. If there's trust, if they recognize that not every answer that they give me I'm going to throw away or reject or maybe just gloss over, that it's actually a kind of safe place in which to share the excitement of those connections. And it's slowly but surely I've been excited as the years gone on about that relationship.
You mentioned you're just getting started in your
Sure.
first year, so as you have the time to develop deeper relationships
Yeah.
with the students and more, it'll just continue to
Yeah.
grow from there.
Yeah, it becomes more like nurturing.
Yeah,
or-
absolutely, yes. And in a sense, in the long run, that's what they're going to remember. It's in
Hope
the
so.
long run. So Sydney, tell us about you. How long have you been here at the school?
I've been here 6 years, so when the school first started, I came.
Wow, and what grade are you now?
10th.
10th grade, oh, because that's the maximum
Yes.
that we're at now. School goes to 10th grade. So you've been here again since elementary, middle school, and now in high school. That's quite a change over time and so forth. So let's talk about the program that we've been talking about here with Mr. Council. Is there a part that you like best? A project, a reading, anything special?
Well, kind of like how Mr. Council was talking about how we do discussion and it's really all connected. We have a commonplace book that allows us to put everything together. So we have a glossary section with words to define, so words we find in the readings we're doing or just kind of come across in class. We have quotes from all our different sources, the literature as well as the presidents we're studying. We have imitations, so those are like longer quotes that can help us develop our writing. And then we have a memory section, which is all the presidents and we're drawing them, and the idea is to put them in code, so images around the presidents that we can remember them and remember significant aspects of them that we've really focused on in class. And then finally we have a tools section, which is just all the various tools for writing and for summarizing that we've done throughout the course.
So they're quite involved, and clearly it's something that you're taking too well. And I know we're going to talk about the presidents and that in the next segment, so we'll get into more detail. I noticed you get a little high-five pump with one
Yeah, I
thing
hope
she
I didn't
said.
ruin the
No, that was great. That was great. Ruben, let's talk to you then, and we'll ask you the same questions. How long have you been here at the school?
I've been here for 4 years.
4 years.
Yes, ma'am.
And tell us about what you're coming away with out of class and maybe a favorite part.
Coming away, I think, is the normative questions he asks. I give that's a background and to circumspectly look and to learn, and I think that's great. I think that's great that he does that. We haven't done that much before. And one of my favorite aspects is poetry. This year, Mr. Council has taught us to break down a poem and dissect it from its structure to little things like capitalization and commas and dashes, and I think that's very important. I've grown to love to do that.
He's really good at it too, which is fun.
You mentioned that, just something that came to mind, punctuation and commas and capitalizations. Kind of getting to be a lost art today.
Sure.
With this digital age, I just noticed that the messages kids send with texting, there's no punctuation, there's no proper, and that's really sad. So I'm glad to hear that that's something that you're teaching and focusing on, because quite frankly, that's somewhat of a lost
Well, if I
taught
could,
art.
do you mind if I interject on that?
No, of course.
So one of the reasons we teach a course like this too is because you could have a grammar course, but if we think about what grammar is really what the great men and women, the poets and the writers are using. There are some very objective elements to grammar, but grammar in every language is usually who are the great ones that are writing in that language and how are they using it. So it's better than abstracting it to just a grammar course in which I teach you rules of grammar. I'd rather them see how the great statesmen of our country use that grammar, and it just kind of becomes part of their style. So there's a lot less, does that make sense? So when students say things like the course is easy, what they mean is it's kind of inhaled, if you will, in the environment, in the atmosphere of what they're reading.
And real quick, as we wrap up this section, is this a class that is an elective that you choose, or is it part of your standard curriculum now?
This is now part of the core standard curriculum at the school.
Okay, gotcha. Okay, great. Well, stick around, and we're going to be back with more 843 TV. Welcome back to 843 TV here in the library at the Holy Trinity Classical Christian School in downtown Beaufort. And we've had Mr. Council on our panel this morning talking about his special program that he's put in, Humane Letters, and we've had a lot of great students, and now we have Amelia and Bruce joining us, and we're going to talk to you all. But Mr. Council, let's get back to you. And the kids are studying American history, and in particular about the presidents.
Yes.
So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay, so there are a variety of ways of teaching history. History can be taught as a biography of a country, it can be taught as a history of great men and women, it can be taught as an apology for a culture. So when you think about a history course, you have to decide in what way, what mode you're going to teach it. And so Reverend Lawrence and I discussed that at the beginning of this year. Because this is an integrated course, there is a historical component. We are interested in people making decisions, and that's the same in literature as it is in history. And so we wanted to focus on people and on virtue. And by virtue, I simply mean the ability that one has, the power one has of applying what one has learned. And so we're studying only the American presidents. You could study the wars, you couldn't cover them all. You could study one war for the year, so instead we're just studying the presidents. And not all of them, we can't get to every single one, even over the course of a year. But the purpose of studying a president is to say, as an American, we believe in life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and each president is kind of an incarnation of what Americans believed that meant at that time. And each one of them has a leadership style, has a mode of behavior, has flaws and virtues, I guess you could say, that we can learn from. And so we could be cynical about the presidents. I don't teach that side. I teach what's good about each one. What can we extract from them that can help us make our own decisions? So an example would be George Washington. We read his inaugural address, and the students notice that he has, although he was quite uneducated, he educated himself and acquired an elevated style to his language, and it gave dignity to those around him and a humility to his own speech. And that's something they can emulate. They can elevate their own style while maintaining a kind of humility. And so we take that and we leave with that.
I like how you put a lot of what you said. You're extracting certain things of each president and looking at it from a neutral standpoint, not versus a critical, which unfortunately in today's time we've taken that route in a lot of ways. So that sounds really good. Bruce, how long have you been here at the school?
This is my first year here.
Your first year, okay, wow. Well, so how was your experience so far?
It's been very nice. Everybody's been amazing, and I like the classes.
And you're taking the course and studying the presidents. Tell us of maybe a favorite one of yours.
My favorite presidents that we study is probably Abraham Lincoln. Like if we go through a regular history class and you're just learning all the facts about it, I mean, everybody knows he's Abraham Lincoln, he's cool, but I probably just would have skimmed over him. But when we incorporated like the logic side and the rhetoric side of the course as well, it really was appealing to me how we looked at how perceptive he was of what was going on around him and how that influenced his decision making and how we can help use that in our lives.
Amelia, let's talk with you a little bit now. How long have you been here at the school?
3 years now.
3 years. So you've gotten a chance to see different things in different courses. Now you're taking this American history. Tell us about that study and how the poetry has impacted you most.
One aspect, besides the presidents, we've also have been learning about 21st century poetry and authors like Robert Frost and E. Cummings and Elizabeth Bishop. And we did a group presentation with those poems, and we were divided into groups by author. So I was with the Robert Frost group, and we chose the Road Not Taken, which is one of his most classic poems, and I really wanted to do that because I kind of saw it as a challenge, even though it's a poem that everyone knows and that it's easy to skim over it, be like, oh, I don't need to go further into it. I really wanted to, and just the group aspect of this project was really, I learned a lot, and it's something I could take into college and just working with people and finding each other's strengths and who wants to write the least, and what we can, how we can work together and make, write a good, have a good presentation. And just going into the poem itself was really insightful and enriching for me.
Okay. Now, is this course run all year long, or is it just semester-based?
It does. It runs all year long. It is a complete core course for the year. So.
Now, for those watching and aren't familiar with the school here in Beaufort, I know that we have some information on the screen as far as how to get in touch with the leadership here and find out about admissions and enrollment and how you might be able to take this great class that Mr. Council has in place here. And before we go, students, we just say we're finishing the school year here. And so blessings and best of luck to you all as you complete your final exams, I guess, right? Final exams and move on from there. So thank you all for watching today's episode of 843 TV, where communities come to speak.